Guys, do you understand what the difference is between a creepy guy in the gym and like a handsome gym bro that girls fancy? Literally just how they look. I'm sure you've all seen those videos where some girl's in the gym and she's got a tripod set up and potentially, maybe, there's a guy 3 rows of machines back that's on his phone in between sets like this. And she's now exposing him all over TikTok saying, look at this creep, taking pictures of him. Well, I'm sure there are creeps, by the way, and I'm not condoning that, right? Don't be a fucking creep. These guys do need outing. The point I'm making though here is every time you see one of those videos, it's a guy who's 30 pounds overweight, probably balding, doesn't dress well, probably got a double chin. And that girl's already made the assumption that this guy is a creep. She wants nothing to do with him. Whether he is or not, it's irrelevant. But if that guy was 6'4", 10% body fat, chiseled jawline, tats, dressed well in the gym, it wouldn't be a problem. In fact, she would be very happy that that guy was looking her way. Now, I'm not trying to say the girl's right, wrong, or indifferent. It's not my point. The point I'm trying to make, visual appearance is the very first thing that you need when it comes to dating. If you do not have a presentable visual appearance, a presentable physique, dropping the body fat to at least guys, 15% or lower, you will never ever get a look in. Never. No girl is gonna consider you as a potential partner. No girl is even gonna entertain it for dating, for casual dating. So in this competitive market that we're in now, where there are so many guys in phenomenal shape and there are so many guys that are truly looking after themselves, you have to be in shape in order to compete. Now, there's a huge benefit to this. The portion of the market that aren't competing is massive compared to those who do. And while you may be in that side of the market right now of the guys who aren't in with a chance of pulling a 10 or a 9, or the caliber of girl that you want, when you cross over, when you get in shape, there's actually such little competition in the broader market, right? You stand out. Wherever you go to a club, you go to a bar, maybe it's in the gym. If you have a top 1% physique, you are in the top 1%, you stand out. And this is why a lot of guys' dating life just fucking suck. They expect good girls, they expect high quality women. Fuck me, my brain has gone empty then. What was the word I was looking for? They're not even willing. They're not even willing to put the work in and look after themselves. Women, like many things in life, like money, like career, body, it's just a reflection of your personal standards. That's it. So if you're pulling 5s and 6s, there is a reason for that. It's not by chance, you're not unlucky, it's just a reflection of who you are. Now that's a beautiful thing, because that now means the power is in your hands. You have the ability to change this, right? But you've got to be willing to work on yourself. Now, outside of girls, outside of dating, you should already be in this mindset anyway, boys. It's a competitive world. If you forget the dating space altogether, if you think about career, if you think about money, if you think about any avenue of life, there's other people trying to do the same thing you want to do in that realm, in that space. You've got to be competing. You've got to work on yourself. If you want to be in high demand, if you want more options, you've got to be up there, right? Now, there's 2 problems normally that people will have. You may have both. There's normally 2 problems. You can't attract the caliber of women that you want, because everybody can attract females. I know some guys go through a bit of a lonely chapter, but that's just because you don't want to look at the girls that are like 4s, right? But you could go and pull them. So every guy can attract girls. You just can't attract the caliber of girl that you want to attract. They seem out of reach. The other problem is once you manage to get something over the line, once you manage to go on a date, or maybe you sleep with a girl and things are getting a little bit more serious, Some guys just cannot keep hold of that girl. Now, those problems are two very different things. And the solution to either of those, the solution to both of those things are completely different, right? The first, being able to attract at the level that you want, is all about visual appearance. You have to stand out from the rest of the market. That's it. That's the only thing. There could be guys with a personality of a fucking doorknob. They're not funny, they're not kind, they're probably a cunt. But because of how they look, they're going to be way ahead in the queue versus you. You have to get your foot in the door in order to actually have a chance. So you need to build the physique. You need to build a body that appeases the female gaze. Now, I want to clarify something here. I'm certainly not suggesting that all of your gym efforts, all of the work that you're putting in goes towards literally just your dating life. Dating should be on the side, running parallel to your main mission in life. It should be an added bonus. It shouldn't be the main thing. But seeing as though we're actually talking about dating, it's appropriate for me to clarify what that would actually mean, rather than just saying go to the gym, put on fucking 20 kilos of body fat, look like a strong man, and then to expect women. That's not going to work either. The female gaze is very different to the male gaze. The female gaze, you've probably seen that Brad Pitt Fight Club physique. Now that guy's got no muscle in that. He really doesn't. He's just lean, but it looks good. You think about Greek statues, you think about all of those ancient sculptures that they had. They just understood thousands of years ago, something about aesthetics is just fucking sick, right? So having good proportions, being lean, being 12% or less, ideally 10. 10 is, for me, the sweet spot. I can stay at 10. I'm not at 10 right now. I'm getting near to 10. I'm 95.5 kg this morning. I don't know what that is in pounds, maybe 205, something like that. I'm probably 12, maybe a little bit higher than that. People get body fat wrong all the time. Anytime you see a fucking reel where people are talking about body fat percentages, it's always garbage. I look in the comments and people are like, yeah, I'm 12% body fat. It's like, bro, you're like 25% body fat. People have absolutely no gauge. But anyway, 10% body fat will give you a insane aesthetic look. It will be so impressive, but also you can maintain that year round. If you start dipping down to like 8 or even like 7, I got so fucking ridiculously shredded one summer and it was just fucking tough. Like, you just can't maintain it. You can physically maintain it, but everything is just fucking in the bin. Like, sleep shit, hungry all the time, you don't have the energy, you're weak as fuck in the gym. It's not where you want to be. 10% can be maintained year round, and as well, 10%, if you start to scale food back up, if you manage the post-fat loss phase reverse diet correctly and you don't rush it, you can get your food up pretty high while still being at like 10% body fat. You know, I've been at 10% body fat at like 2,750 calories before, easily, maybe even slightly higher. At that body fat with that food, everything's a breeze. You know, it's my most aesthetic physique, but it's also like it's like peak strength. That's where you want to be, right? You want lean physique, you want good proportions, you want to work on the areas of your physique that need work. So for me, I'm 6'4". I got big, long, lanky arms. They've filled out now, but this has taken a long time. Shoulders, basically all this top line for me, this has always been like poor for me. I've got a very torso dominant physique where like I've got pretty big back, big chest, but then these like long gangly arms. So I had to train these like fuck But that was all intentional. That's my point, is like the split you're choosing, the exercises, the volume, the frequency that you're hitting these muscle groups with. You need to build that with that in mind. For some people, they just have genetically gifted arms, right? Maybe some people just have a fucking ironing board chest. Maybe you need more sets on chest. For me, I don't have a massive chest, but I need my shoulders to catch up to my chest. So I only need to do like 2 exercises on chest a week. I come and I hit a second workout pretty much every day. It's literally just press ups, pull ups. I just like it more so for energy. It's not really factored into like my physique building. It obviously does help, but I just like that. I don't like the midday or early afternoon crash. So I just come and I just fucking train and I get a pump and I feel fucking good, and then I go up and I finish the rest of my work. But that also contributes to my overall chest development, right? So it's being smart about the actual physique you're creating. Not a lot of guys even think about that. They just go, right, I need to get in shape, and then they just go follow some random ass push-pull legs. And there's nothing wrong with push-pull legs. I run push lower, pull lower, because again, I'm tall, right? And I run fucking ultra marathons and sub 3 marathons and shit. So my legs have never really, they're not huge, but they're not small either. But you got to get the proportions right, fellas. You know, if you bring in a package to the table that people are going to want and it's aesthetic, then, do your best to make it as aesthetic as possible. So, oh yeah, let me tell you something actually. Hinge. Now, I want to actually share some game on Hinge because I was on there recently and it was a completely different experience. So the last time I was on like dating apps was when I was in university. And I'll put a picture up on the screen now of what I looked like in university. And at the time, we were just fucking sniffing ketamine and coke and fucking 3-4 times a week, drinking 5 nights a week, hitting the gym, but no idea what we're doing, no idea with what we're doing with nutrition. We just looked shit. I was skinny, I was scrawny, I was all puffy and inflamed. Like I didn't look good at all. That was my last memory of being on dating apps. Now, we didn't fucking pull any fit birds. They were all right. I'm not going to say we were just shagging munters, but definitely did a few of them as well. But that's all you care about. That we were like fucking 18, right? And we basically, not to make it like a sob story, but we like struggled almost. We were like every fit girl that you would try and match with, you just wouldn't get matched back. Again, because it's a competitive market. Now, you've got to understand girl psychology as well when it comes to the dating experience. It's completely different to men's. And in fact, let me circle back to that because that actually fits back in better with the opening lines and shit. If anyone's on dating apps now, I'm going to drop some game that's gonna help you out when you're actually chatting to birds on dating apps. But when I came back to using Hinge, I looked like this, and I'll put another picture up on screen. And then I've used it at the start of this year. I've deleted it again now. It's just too much of a distraction. I'm locking in at the minute. But it was a completely different experience. Once I had built the physique, guys, I was matching with every single fucking 10 on the app. And I swear to God when I say that, every single fit girl that I swiped on was a match. Now, I'm not saying that to suggest that I'm incredibly good looking or I look like a model. I don't. There's far better looking guys than me, facially, aesthetics, whatever. But it backs up my point about what I'm saying about the market. Because there's so many guys on Hinge that just put no effort into how they look or building their physique or building their life. They're so unserious about life. They're so lost. They're just drifting. They're going out every weekend. You never look. There's a certain look to a guy who has direction in his life. You can just tell. You can look at a guy, and it's not just about the physique, but there's just something about the visual appearance. They're guys who have direction in their life. They're actually working towards a vision. They have this different aesthetic about them. I don't even know how to verbalize it. But that's why. It's like, that's what it made me realize. The visual appearance is fucking everything. Because then it's just like they're all coming in the app, and then all these doors are open. Now, I'm not saying they were all successful. I didn't even message most of them, but you have the opportunity. If you think of it like sales guys with dating, a door-to-door salesman works solely on the fact that if they knock enough times, they're going to get someone to give them money. Door-to-door salespeople know full well how fucking annoying they are. They know it. They don't try and pretend that they're not. They know they are, but they also know if they knock on enough doors, someone is going to pay them. They're going to get some money. Now, think about dating in the same way. I'm not saying message every single bird you see on Instagram or message every single bird on the Hinge app. My point is, you need the visual appearance to have that large volume of options to then potentially whittle it down. If I matched 100 girls on Hinge, I probably didn't message fucking 80 of them. I only messaged like the 20 that I actually fancied, and out of them 20, I probably didn't message them all, they probably messaged me. And then out of them, some of them, the conversations just die off, or you get bored, or you just pie them off, or whatever. But if you only have like one, then it's all riding on that, right? You see where I'm going with that. So you need as many options as you can. You need to increase your chances. You need to be able to open as many doors as you possibly can. When you open those doors, you might get bored, or she might get bored, or it might not be a match and you both don't like it. But in order to actually find the one or find a girl to build a relationship with, that's what you need first of all, right? So it's very important. Now, let's talk about the Hinge openers and psychology. Now, let me tell you the psychology before I tell you the actual opener. But this worked fucking so well. Dating dynamics and the female experience versus the male experience. Females have so much more attention than males. Everybody knows that. But we don't know how that actually feels. Now for a woman, especially a good looking woman, but it's even true for like the 4s and the 5s, every bar they go to, they get hit on. Every club, they get hit on. They get hit on by bouncers, they get hit on by the club goers, the bar staff. They get the most messages out of both genders on Instagram. They get people commenting. They get the most matches on dating apps. They get all sorts. They get so much. We don't get that, right? We don't get girls messaging us in DMs. You might get it on dating apps because it's a bit of a different frame that it's been set in, but you don't really get girls coming up to you. It has happened, but it's not the same. If a girl was to message you something that was like, let's say she's decent looking. Let's say she's a 7 out of 10. Some people say that's very good looking. If she messages you a boring message on Instagram and it's a shit opening line, that never happens to you. So you're at least going to entertain it, probably. It's unlikely if you're a single man that you're just going to completely ignore that message. You probably won't even think about how boring the opening line is. If we switch that, if you're a 7 out of 10 guy and you send a boring opening message to a rocket, you're not even going to get open. You're probably just going to get fucking blocked because they get that all the time. So when it comes to the first message, when it comes to actually speaking after the first message, when it comes to the first date, how you act, everything you do, everything that you say, how you say it, you've got to do it differently to how the rest of everybody does it. What a lot of guys do, especially on the apps like Hinge and Tinder, is they'll pop up with something cringe as fuck. Just the most fucking beta loser shit ever. It'll just be some gay like, hey baby, you know what I'm on about. No girl is ever going to be turned on by that. I didn't even drink that. No girl is ever going to read a message like that and think, oh my God, yes, thank God this guy messaged me. This is what I used to open with. And what you're trying to do here is basically flip the script. So something completely new that other people don't message. And also not give off a desperate, beggy vibe. Because that's what a lot of guys do. Now, this Hinge opener didn't just work for me, but it worked for a couple of my boys as well. I told them about it. I was like, just trust me, try it. And these guys, I hope they don't watch this video, but they're not as good looking as me, but it still fucking worked for them. because it's out of the normal pattern. So there was one, I had a few, but there was one and it was like, I'd get rid of all my girlfriends for you. And then there was another one like that, but it's so out of the ordinary. It's not even there was like maybe 1 out of 20 would be like, you know, have like a weird response to it, but most of them they just had banter back. And it's just that psychology of it. Now, the physique gets you in the door. Being different gets you past the first message, and then you can just be chill. You can be calm, and you try and set up a date as fast as you possibly can. The point of a dating app, guys, don't be talking to these girls for fucking ever. Get off the app. If you genuinely want to meet them, slide in, move it through as quick as possible. Don't do small talk. Small talk is for the first date. If you find everything out about this girl, when you turn up on the date, you're going to think, what the fuck am I going to talk about? Leave all that. Most guys coming in, what you up to? How was your day? All this gay shit. Straight in, bang. I'd get rid of all my girlfriends for you. She's going to put something bantery back, right? The frame. If she's liked you, she thinks you're attractive. Don't fuck it up by saying some dumb shit now. Just go, when are you free? Are you free Friday? Whatever, bang. I'll book this for us. I'll do this. What kind of food do you like? I'll book a table. Get off the app. And then don't fucking message. That's what you want to do. Now, I don't want to turn this into a Hinge video. That's the first half of the equation. Now we need to speak about the back half, right? Keeping a female after you've managed to successfully get past that first barrier, go on a date, and maybe things are starting to get a little bit serious and you actually see yourself being with this girl. You need to be a man on a mission. You need direction and you need purpose, because for females, what they're looking for is somebody that they could potentially build a life with. They're looking for somebody that's going to be a protector. They're looking for someone that's going to be a provider. And most men are weak, pathetic pussies that are completely lost. That is just what it is. And I'm not even trying to put men down. That is just a statement. So if you look the part, if you now have more doors opening, if you go on a date and then things are starting to get a little bit serious and you actually see yourself being with her, you want to give off the impression that you are valuable, right? You're an asset. It would be in her best interest to also put effort into building this relationship. You know, you probably have talked a good story when you're on a date. You've probably tried to show that, you know, or maybe she's thinking like, oh, actually, I kind of like this guy. You then don't want to show like you've got all these bad habits and you can't be asked fucking doing hard work and you're emotionally volatile and work's stressing you out and you can't deal with the stress. She's going to be thinking, what the fuck? I didn't think this guy was going to be like this. I thought it was out of the ordinary. So she's judging your character when she's looking at potentially staying with you. She's looking at your level of alignment. If you say, yeah, I want to do this in life, I'm going to build this business, I'm passionate about this, and then she sees you getting out of bed at fucking 7 a.m. or 8 a.m., getting pissed every weekend and staying in hungover on the sofa, she's going to be thinking, what the fuck is this loser doing? Why would I be with this guy? So it's really on you. It's on you thinking about what you actually want from life, being serious, raising your standard, and just starting to act like a man. Now, this is, again, in this dating context. You should be doing this anyway. Your life is more important than your life in this dating aspect. Where are you going? This job that you've been doing, are you going to do that forever? Are you going to try and escape 9 to 5? Are you going to create freedom, autonomy? What's your passion? Do you want to make money doing that? Who do you see yourself being? What are the things about yourself right now that you don't like? What are your insecurities? What are your inadequacies? Address all this shit. Like, you don't have the time, guys, in this life to be cruising and coasting as a version of you that you know is way below who you should be. You don't have the time for that. Again, this is talking in a dating sense. So yeah, it's going to massively hinder your dating life and the kind of girls and the relationships that you build, it's just going to bring you more of a headache. But outside of that, you haven't got the time that you think you do. You know, this is not a problem to solve in the future. You should have solved this yesterday. So at the very least, you gotta take action now, right? It's like, what could you possibly be waiting for? You need to grow. You need to grow as fast as you possibly can, all round, for your dating life, for your finance, for your career, to create the life that you actually want. And I think, I've done this multiple times in my life. Sometimes the best thing for it, guys, is a period of isolation. Now I've had three big periods of isolation when I knew how I was currently, the level I was currently operating at across the board, in body, in mind, in business. It just wasn't up to standard, and I needed a quantum leap in who I was. I needed to shift my identity. I needed to just completely lock in, remove all distractions, and just go after who I wanted to be, the type of money I wanted to earn, and level up my physique, just level up fucking everything. The fastest way to do that is to cut everything off. And if you're not seeing anyone at the time of you like watching this video, for example, sometimes the best thing to do is just say, right, do you know what? I'm not going to message any girls for the next 6 months or 9 months or 3 months or 12 months, however long you think you need. And you just go all in, and you give all of your mental bandwidth towards personal growth, not just the physique, but mindset and reading and getting to know yourself and introspection and thinking about life and what you actually want to achieve. What are you unhappy with right now in life? What would you change about yourself if you could change anything? Who do you want to be? What qualities do you see in other men that you want? Get clear on all of this and go and fucking chase it. That is the only thing to do. I truly believe that. And if you go through that phase, it will be so productive that when you return, you're going to have that same contrast that I had first time on Hinge or dating apps to the second time, where I'm like, fuck, I didn't even think I could pull these kind of girls. Now they're just fucking throwing themselves at me. And again, you need to understand why I'm saying that, guys. I'm not trying to make out I'm some playboy. I'm not. But that's available to you if you were to just fucking go after it and level up your visual appearance. The same thing would happen. And it's because the market in general, the data